Now that, my friends, is what I call a season finale. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. So I just binge watched volume 2 of Stranger Things season 4, and that was awesome. If you saw my video on volume 1, you know I'm not a huge fan of it, but I did say in that video that it was not a final judgment because I still needed to see volume 2 to give my final thoughts on it. And now that I have seen volume 2, I am much more pleased as a fan, and it makes a lot more sense. So let's get into some of the stuff that I did like and some of the stuff I didn't like, because it isn't by any means a perfect season. So we start off with episode 8, which is called Papa, and dives into more the relationship between Papa and Eleven, which I thought was a great episode. But what I started to notice as a problem happening over and over again is that this show has awesome moments surrounded by moments where you're just like, that makes no sense. I'll give you an example. This action sequence when we get to see Eleven bring down a helicopter with her powers is probably the coolest scene I've seen in this entire show, period. I mean, it was that good. The slow motion, the shots, the scenery, everything was just epic about this. But if you recall, the military general is infiltrating the base where Eleven and Papa is in, and they're like barely escaping. And the general's not that far away. I mean, he's inside that base, so it's not gonna take him that long to get outside and find Eleven and Papa. And instead of bailing right at that moment when Eleven brings down the helicopter and just flee with the van from the scene, no, she takes her time to walk over to Papa, talk to Papa, talk to her friends, and then leave. And only then does the general come outside right as they leave. I mean, that is so convenient for the plot. I mean, the timing is so impeccable for the plot. Or what about the sniper guy when he has the shot of Eleven, and you know what stops him from taking the shot? The surfer boy pizza van honking at him. That, my friends, is so unrealistic. First of all, I mean, he's in a helicopter, which is so loud, I highly doubt he would even hear a honk from that far away. Nonetheless, when you have such a high priority target and you're the sniper, nothing is gonna stop you from taking that shot. Are you kidding me? No, when you're locked in, your general says take the shot, you take the shot. You would have to kill that guy before he doesn't take the shot. A pizza boy truck is gonna distract him. Come on. I mean, come on. They should have just completely cut that part out and just go straight to Eleven just manipulating the helicopter, because that makes a lot more sense. So just little things like that just keep happening in this show, and it just really disappoints me. It's like you could just not have those mistakes and this would almost be flawless. Not to mention, we don't really know much about this guy, what he wants to do to Elle, and then it kind of falls short because after that we never see him again in this season. But the rest of this episode is fantastic, and it really sets up the finale really well with the stakes and everything being so dramatic. So let's move on to the final episode, which is Piggyback, which to me felt like a full-fledged blockbuster film. I mean, the visuals, the epicness of this episode is on another level, truly. I mean, you can literally tell just by looking at this show how high of a budget they had, because it did not feel like a regular TV show episode. The entire time they're in Victor Creel's house is amazing. I got this whole haunted mansion vibe, and it's dark and they have blue lamps, and it just gives off this really creepy, eerie vibe. Kind of reminds me of movies like Insidious when they're walking through the house. And what they're doing here is they're pretty much sending Max to Vecna to distract him so that they can kill him. And once again, this show has a great moment followed by bad moments. Let me explain. They've been teasing us that they're gonna kill someone important in this season, so I was on the edge of my seat as I was watching this episode because I had no idea who it was gonna be. So spoiler warning if you haven't seen the episode yet, because I am gonna talk about it. But when Max starts levitating and starts snapping her bones, I kid you not, I started crying. I'm not afraid to admit it, I was bawling. I was like, no, why Max? She's like my favorite character. And she dies in Lucas's arm, and Lucas is completely broken. That's literally one of the most emotionally impactful moments in this show. And then we figure out that Max is not in fact dead, and that Eleven brought her back to life. I'm just like, oh my god, you gotta be shitting me. You just completely ruined the moment. How am I ever gonna feel the stakes of this show if no one ever dies? It feels like all these main characters just have plot armor, because the only characters they ever kill off are the new characters they introduce to us every season. Just think about it. Season 1, Barb died. Season 2, Samwise Gamgee from The Lord of the Rings died. Season 3, Billy died. And now Season 4, Eddie died. It's like, it's so predictable now. When are you gonna kill one of the main characters? Let me guess, Season 5, you're gonna introduce a new character and then what? Kill him? Oh my god, no way. And Eleven can just bring people back to life now? Like, come on, like, when did she just can bring people back to life now? It has never been established that Eleven can bring people back to life. And now all of a sudden, when the plot needs her to bring someone back to life, she brought her back to life. And it ruins that moment. That was such a good moment. But I want to go ahead and talk about the acting, because some of the performances in this episode were outstanding. Specifically, Lucas and Dustin. Going back to when Max dies on Lucas's arms, the emotions on his face, the tears coming down his eyes. I mean, I was crying so much in this scene. And then Dustin at the end, when he talks to Eddie's uncle or whoever that guy is, that moment was so powerful. I mean, second when he's crying, telling him that Eddie was a hero. He's not what these people are telling him, because they're making him out to be this, you know, crazy psychopath from the Hellfire Club. But Dustin telling him in that moment the truth. It was a really heartfelt moment, very well acted by this kid. But let's go ahead and take a trip all the way over to Russia and talk about Hopper's storyline, because you know from the first video that was one of my main issues. I was like, it was kind of like a side quest, had nothing to do with the main plot. What's going on here? And I will say that this second volume, I was much more satisfied with the Russia plot than I was in the first volume. And I particularly really enjoyed when they broke back into the prison. That was awesome. It really truly felt like a horror movie. The aesthetic of the prison, I mean, the whole looks of these scenes are super creepy. And the Demogorgons are running loose in the prison. It's kind of like a scarier version of what happened in season 2 when like they're locked into the laboratory and everything's running loose. Except this time they're in a prison. But I do have to point out this one inconsistency. There's a scene when they're shooting the Demogorgon. There's literally like 5 or 6 guards lined up, all shooting at him, and it has zero effect on the Demogorgon. But if I remember, at the end of season 2, Hopper is defending Eleven against multiple Demogorgons with an automatic rifle, and it seems to be working. So that's a bit of an inconsistency there. But the final battle with Vecna is epic, and I love when he's on fire. He looks so cool and menacing. I mean, I really gotta hand it to the special effects department. They really hit this one out of the park. I really enjoyed Eddie throughout this entire season. I thought he was one of the standout characters. I'm really sad that they killed him off, but I do think they killed him off in an honorable way. I loved his character arc, that he was always someone that ran away, but in the end he faced his fears and he didn't run. That shows a lot of growth in his character, and I just wish we got to see more of him. So overall, I'm gonna give this show an 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it, but I'm not gonna give it a 9 or a 10 just because of those little inconsistencies and little flaws that I can nitpick at and point out. But like I said, they're just nitpicks, little things. Overall, I really enjoyed this season. But if you ask me personally, I still enjoy the older seasons better, specifically the first one, just because I prefer the small town mystery vibe a little bit more than the big budget saving the world movie blockbuster that we're getting now. Not saying that it's bad, I enjoy both of them. I just slightly prefer the small town low budget vibe. So let me know down in the comments, what are your thoughts on season 4 of Stranger Things? Is it your favorite season? I will be ranking all the seasons, so if you don't want to miss that, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.